No, sorry.
Okay. We assume that everything's becoming more efficient, and in an immediate sense, that's true. Our lives are a lot easier. But that improvement has been gained through a massively inefficient use of natural resources. This was said by Paul Hawken, and I would have to agree with him. Our lives are easier in the sense that we don't have to walk thousands of miles to get anywhere, and that when we have to go somewhere, we can just jump in our cars. Heck, if we have to go to a different country, we can just fly in a plane, or take a boat that would take us across the ocean. When we think about how much a trip is going to cost us, we think about the monetary expense or about the gas that it's going to cost us, which should be typical because, it costs gas and money to go anywhere. But I stopped to think about how much it really costs humans to be able to burn this fuel and have easier transportation. And I think that the cost is too high. The cost of living this luxury is way too high for humans to pay, and I think that the Keystone Pipeline exemplifies that cost. After reading the Congressional Review, which is the official government analysis of the Keystone Pipeline project, I learned that the pipeline was made in response to the high demand of the fuel market. Everybody needs fuel nowadays, and so building the pipeline was meant to make it so that more oil can be produced and it'd be easier to transport. The pipeline runs from Alberta, Canada, through the U.S. to the other end where the Gulf is. There's refineries there, and then from there, the oil is sent to global markets. Again, this would increase volume and make it easier for oil companies to produce oil. David Gallo is a published scientist who wrote an article in the Scientific American Journal, and he said that mining operations from the tar sands, which is the beginning of the Keystone Pipeline, has already produced 65 square miles of toxic waste. And that's just currently. So if we expanded pipelines, there would be even more waste. And it takes about 2 barrels of water to extract the bitumen from tar sands just to produce 1 barrel of oil. Basically, it costs humans a total of 12.7 billion cubic feet of water per year. That water is sourced locally, which is the common source of water for locals in the area. I think it's the Athabasca River. So we're taking water from locals to produce oil. Miles Allen is a physicist of the University of Oxford, determined that we have a 1 trillion metric ton carbon budget before the global temperature reaches 2 degrees Celsius. What that means is that we're emitting carbon into the atmosphere, and that the more that we produce, the hotter the Earth gets. If we hit 2 degrees Celsius and increase, climate change is going to drastically affect us. If you think about how the weather's been crazy in the U.S. and other parts of the globe, and the catastrophic events that have occurred, it makes you wonder what else is going to happen with the climate change. What happens when we actually hit that 2 degrees Celsius mark? If we think about it, 25 billion metric tons of carbon could be released into the atmosphere if we burn all the oil in the tar sands. That's 25% closer to budget than we would be if we didn't. Global warming affects everyone. We all live on this earth last time I checked, and the more oil, the more gases we produce, which would get us closer to that budget. Also, according to the Congressional Review, the pipeline has spilled 14 times in the past since its completion. That equals to about 22,000 gallons of oil leaked into the environment. Spills can be produced from human error, corrosion, earthquakes and floods. So things that we can't even prevent can cause spills. In 2010, there was a huge leak in Enbridge, which is also in Alberta, where 1 million gallons of oil was spilled into the environment. To this day, again, that was in 2010, they're still cleaning it. It's already cost $700,000 million, and it's still going to take another 2 years to clean up that mess. Oils are toxic, and they don't just hurt humans, they hurt the wildlife. The crude oil is really heavy and viscous and thick. The first victims are fowl or birds that live in the area. The oil basically makes it too heavy for them to fly away and can suffocate them. Long-term effects of the oil have been cancer. Like in the river where the water is sourced for mining operations, there's higher rates of cancer already in the locals. That being said, Many supporters of the pipeline argue that we're going to have economic growth in the U.S. if we continue to use fossil fuels and that we continue to source oil from the tar sands. They also say that we're going to produce new jobs from building the pipeline and that oil prices will drop in the U.S. I say they're wrong because mostly it's the Canadians that are going to benefit because it's their oil that we're transporting through our lands, and that's so that they can sell it to the global market. So in essence, we're going to have more oil in the U.S., but the prices won't drop because oil is a global market. Also, the new jobs would just be temporary because once the pipeline is made, there's going to be no jobs. So now what? There's no quick fix to, reducing fossil fuel burning. We all drive cars. I go to school, I go to work every day, and there's no avoiding the fact that I use fossil fuel. But I say the call of action should be to brainstorm cleaner ways to produce energy, or different ways to source clean energy. Maybe fossil fuel isn't the best way to get around. Fossil fuel is limited anyway, so if we, in turn, just start now by brainstorming, we can prevent further damage, we can stall damage. It's all avoidable. We don't have to spill, we don't have to hurt animals, and we don't have to hurt the environment. We need to look for cleaner energy. And it'll take longer for us to hit that carbon budget. There's going to be no increase in wasting water or resources. And like I said, fossil fuel is limited anyway, so eventually it's going to run out. Imagine when fossil fuel is out.